Greetings, everyone. I'm Luke Bryan Smith, and welcome to Enlightened, Empowered, Evolved. Hope everybody's doing well. I'm excited today. Again, always excited to have these wonderful people here sitting down talking to me. Mr. Tony Doyle. Now, Tony Doyle is an internationally recognized leadership coach, a certified business consultant, and a licensed program facilitator who uses a conscious approach to mentoring. Through his patented 5-pillar system, Tony helps leaders across the globe address mindset, heart set, soul set, health set, and skill set, both on a personal level and in their organizations. In addition to his private practice, Tony is a master facilitator for Mindvalley, a TedX speaker, a trainer for Hay House, and has been selected to the 2021 Forbes Coaches Council. Amazing. This man right here, I'm listening. What do you got to say, Mr. Tony Doyle? How are you doing today, sir?
What's up, Luke?
I'm excited to speak with you today.
Yes, sir.
I was saying to you prior to this segment that it's comforting to know that I have someone like you that I consider, part of my mastermind group and asset to anytime I need to reach out and just get some perspectives or some ideas or help or assistance in speaking, dialogues, whatever, man. I'm just glad that Tony Doyle, that you are somebody that I can call on.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Yes. Let's just get right into it, man. Tell us a bit more about yourself. Elaborate on some of these wonderful things that I just listed off that you're a part of and that you've been acknowledged for. What do you do, like on a day-to-day basis, or just get into it, whatever you want to talk about? Who are you? For the people that
honestly,
don't know.
I'm a serial entrepreneur. You know what I mean?
Okay.
That's really what I am. Like, I'm a creative person.
Yes.
So I'm always creating businesses and doing things. But in the course of doing that, over my lifetime, really, I've been asked to mentor and help do things. First with Mindvalley, some of your listeners may be familiar with them. So I started working with them on a professional level, helping facilitate their programs. And then it kind of gradually has just grown over the last 3 years to this coaching consultancy. So I coach individual leaders, so like political leaders, sports stars, influencers, CEOs, founders of nonprofits, and leadership teams within corporations. And I really take that conscious approach that you and I are familiar with.
Absolutely.
For your listeners, they may not know, but Lou and I were both teachers on a panel called the Consciousness Creators here a while back. So it's a lot of those same lessons that we talked about back then, Lou.
Yes.
It's interesting that now at this time in life with COVID and everything that's going on, a lot of leaders are really trying to get their consciousness up more so, before
Absolutely.
where it was about chasing the dollar. Now it's about happiness and, trying to figure out what that really means. So I'm happy to help them,
Yes, that balance in that inner peace. You're right, because they're finding people are finding that those dollars. I mean, it's nice to have financial security, but at the same time, those dollars aren't going to really sustain your inner peace and your happiness, and especially when you're dealing with things like this being isolated and thinking about being very careful not to to avoid illness and just all kinds of things. So it comes back to what you're saying. Yeah, man, we need this inspiration and this motivation and these ways to people like yourself to help people get that balance and that harmony and that inner peace and that focus. Go ahead, sir.
And I think what visionaries are like coming to terms with is what we already know. It's so easy to slip into negativity and like living in a lack scarcity mindset. You know what I mean? So when you
Absolutely.
see something like a pandemic or a global recession and those type of things, it's easy to go with that flow and think that that is reality, and kind of react to it as opposed to creating reality. You
Right.
know, um, and the good thing is the like I said, the entrepreneurs and visionaries that I work with, they recognize that they just need some help because they're so used to responding to the market. That
Right.
they can get caught up just as easy as everyone else.
Yes. Yeah. And a lot of people, they don't realize that. They think, when people reach certain levels of, social level, economic levels, that they're immune to certain things. And that's not true, you know?
Absolutely.
So, what, what is it? I see you doing something basically daily when you're talking to kids or and whatnot. What is it that you're doing? I mean, I know you kind of explained it, but what is it that you're
Yeah.
doing?
Like I said, I've got a lot of different irons in the fire because I am a serial entrepreneur. So basically, what I've done, you know, is make a business out of all of my interests and hobbies. So I got 7 businesses. I got 7 forms of income that come into me off of my daily things. Plus, I've got investment. I've got 9 income streams.
Wow.
Okay. So basically that's taken care of. You know what I mean? Because it trickles in here, there, wherever. I don't ever have to worry about it. I don't ever have to focus on a certain thing. You know, I don't ever paint myself in a corner as far as time or anything either. I just do what I want to do when I
Oh,
want
that's
to do it.
freedom.
So one of
Wow,
the things
sounds
I
amazing.
do, um, I am a licensed life coach, not just for adults, but specifically for kids and teenagers. And
Wow.
that has been a big focus of mine for over 15 years. I used to be an executive with the Boy Scouts and then with a mental health organization for kids in the Midwest. And then since then, like I said, I've been doing a life coaching and mentoring for kids and teenagers through my foundation. I started a foundation 2 years ago called TDI Global Foundation for Youth. And so I
Right.
do a lot of mentoring, a lot of volunteering and pulling resources together for different things. Of course, right now we're talking a lot about COVID, but we talk about imagination and creativity and you know what I mean, and self empowerment. Things like you do. We play your music there. I'm a longtime musician, 25-year recording contract. So I
That's what I
bring
was
all
going to
those
say.
things
Let,
into it.
let me tap in there real quick. That's what I was going to tell people. I want to add that because that wasn't on your portfolio, but I want to tell people that Tony Doyle is also a dope rapper too. Don't think I forgot, man. So we still got to put something together. I'm allowing you that breathing room to keep doing what you're doing, but I haven't forgot. I'm going to reach out and grab you, man, and get you on one of these songs, man. If I
Yeah,
have to fly
and
down
same
there and
here.
see you in person.
I think you and I independently were talking about some of the things, and I actually have a project coming up that I want you on
Okay.
also, which is all about consciousness. It's the stuff that you do. It's right in your wheelhouse. You know what I mean? But it's a project I've been putting together a lot, and
Yes.
I've been, like you said, kind of given that breathing room,
Yes.
really, so people forget about me as a mainstream artist.
Yes. There you go.
Because like yourself, you know what I mean. I was a longtime mainstream artist, doing what sold, you know what I mean, on record labels that were, mainstream that you guys would know. And I
Yes.
want to distance myself from that. Like I'm not going to use my former rap name or any of those things.
Oh wow.
I want to talk about conscious lyrics. I want to talk about the law of assumption, Neville Goddard, like it, consciousness um, and I'm happy that with that 25-year, almost 30-year industry backing, I've been able to get a lot of people to come on and kind of help me
Okay.
with that project. So
Wow.
I definitely want to get you on there. I've got verses already in the can from people you may know like Planet Asia, Razcast,
Oh, wow.
Looking at
Yeah.
old school West Coast conscious heads. I've
Oh,
also
there
got
you go.
Londrell. I've got India Irie. A lot of people have have been happy to try to uh, really put their stamp on increasing the consciousness of the world and just inspiring people. So I've been blessed with that. So I'm looking forward to doing that. Getting you on a verse with on something there too.
Oh,
But yeah,
absolutely.
that's
You
just
already know.
it's just one of the irons in the fire. Um, like I said, one of the things I do. So along with my foundation and my coaching and the business consultation stuff I do, um, one of the things I definitely work on every week, um, out of the love for it.
Oh, absolutely. That's wonderful. Tony, now I was going to ask you, or I want to ask you, how did this come about that you got into all these amazing things? I mean, I mean, did they? I know they didn't all happen at once. I know there's a transformation involved in things, but I just want our people to know, our listeners
Yeah.
to know this.
So
How did you even get involved in all this? I mean, if you can start with
yeah,
one
it's
thing or
interesting
whatever.
because I'm actually writing a book right now.
Oh, okay. So you don't
It
want to give too
talks
much away.
about
Okay.
first the first half of my life. So
Okay.
it's entitled Halftime on Pens and Needles, and it
Okay.
talks about my transition between hip hop, like Needles, because I'm a
Yes.
hip hop DJ and a rapper, obviously, and have been since I was 10. Um, and then transitioning that into speaking and writing and coaching and all that stuff. So I'm working on that. So these stories are fresh because I've actually been thinking about how everything came about. And it's super interesting because first of all, my parents were very active. They were activists, volunteers. They've won national awards for volunteerism with all kind of different organizations and things.
Right.
And so I had I had those role models. So I have to give it up to them for sure, because I saw that. And service was, growing up, service was just part of what we did.
Right.
It was
Amazing.
in us. So Thanksgiving was always about where are we going to serve meals before it was about planning our own family Thanksgiving every year.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So those type of things.
Amazing, close
So
knit
first and foremost,
family.
the basis came from that, you
Okay.
know. Um, and then early on, I was in Boy Scouts, and that actually really helped form me. I know there's a lot
Gave
of
you some
negative
structure.
things about Boy Scouts out there, and different things that happen. But for me, those core principles: trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. I
Wow.
lived by those since I was 10 years old. And like I said, I transitioned and became an executive with the Boy Scouts, um, and actually opened up national programs for underserved youth in inner cities and things. So it's that part of it has evolved, you know.
Yes. Of
Um,
course.
and I've always been a seeker, as you and I have worked
Yes.
together several times, but I've
Absolutely.
always been a seeker. So I've always been into, and in college, I studied world religion. I studied philosophy, kind of like you. Like, I love how you bring things together from all different aspects. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? Like, truths from everywhere. Like, some people get so pigeonholed on one thing. You know what
Absolutely.
I mean? Like, everybody didn't have part of the truth. Everyone has truth.
That's that
So,
exactly.
you know
Exactly.
what I mean? And
I'm a
so
believer of
so
that.
I've always done that same thing. So I've always been a truth seeker, and I've always been trying to distill those things out and share those things. Um, the movie The Secret, I've got to mention the movie The Secret because that definitely was a big part of transitioning me from traditional Christianity and religious teachings to more spiritual teachings.
Spiritual. Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
so so that is definitely a part of it. As you know, Dr. Wayne Dyer is a huge
Oh,
influence.
wow.
My
Yeah.
first mentor. I was actually able to work with Dr. Dyer for about 9 months before he passed away.
Yeah. Right.
That's a whole interesting story in and of itself.
Wow.
But he actually is the one that introduced me or reintroduced me to Neville Goddard
Oh, I love
and
Neville
the
Goddard. I
law of
listen to him
assumption.
almost every day
Yeah.
on
So,
YouTube, his recorded segments. Yes.
mhm.
Neville Goddard. Go ahead, sir. Sorry.
Yeah. So it's really interesting. Just talking about how everything evolved for me. Um, so really it was Dr. Dyer working with him. He reintroduced me to Neville Goddard. He introduced me to Abraham Hicks, Lao Tzu, like all the, once again, same kind of thing. He's finding the truth from all these places, right? And
Right.
distilling it down and putting it back so people can understand it, throughout millennia,
Wow.
Um,
That's
and
awesome.
so yeah, so it kind of went from there. And being the person that's into spiritual growth, like I said, I actually started taking classes with Mindvalley,
Wow.
and then that
For those
became
for those that
facilitated.
don't know, can you tell us a bit, elaborate on Mind Valley and what it is?
Sure. Yeah, Mindvalley is an international organization. It's the number one online spiritual kind of training center.
Right.
So Mindvalley has all kind of things. Um, it's really right what I do. They teach a lot about consciousness and subjects like that. So they've got chakra and spiritual healing and those type of classes, but they've also got self love and they've got tons of meditation stuff. Like they also own Omvana, which you may know is a really popular meditation application, an app for your phone.
Right.
They own Soulvana. Um, they do like consciousness and business stuff, which is how I got started with them and kind of how it evolved me.
Right.
So they do a lot of different things, but it's kind of a subscription based service. You can go online, get a course or two courses, or you can get like this all access pass. There's lots of different things you can do, but basically it's like an online university for more conscious type of subjects.
Wow.
And they
That
call
sounds
it a Harvard education for consciousness.
for consciousness. Wow. And you just look up you just probably Google or whatever Mind
Yeah,
Valley and you'll find it.
Mindvalley, all one word,
All one word. Okay.
Mindvalley.
And then
Yeah.
there'll be a giant picture of Tony Doyle as soon as you click on that, right?
There is a picture. There's some pictures of me on there from our live events because one of the things as a master facilitator we do is travel the globe and put on these live events.
Okay.
Um, One's called Mindvalley University, which is a 30-day adventure in some place. Lithuania, it could be anywhere. You know what I mean?
Wow.
The CEO Vishen picks out a thing, and for 30 days, 1,000 people come there and they study like a college, like basically summer school. you know.
Wow.
Um,
That's amazing.
and then they also have what's called A Fest or Awesome Fest, which happens twice a year in different places, and it's like a weekend excursion all over. So we did one. Obviously, that's been a little limited with the COVID lockdowns and restrictions around the world, but we did one. I've done one with them in Sardinia, Italy. I've done one in Brazil, Sao Paulo, uh,
Wow.
all over.
That
So
sounds amazing. That's what I was going to
yeah.
ask you. You just mentioned, about the COVID and, what's going on. How has that changed, helped, taken away from, or changed the dynamics of what you do? What has it done? I mean, we know what it's done, on a broad scale, but specifically with your endeavors, how has that impacted what you do?
Well, the main things is like the way I've built my life purposely is that I travel monthly. Like I have a paid vacation every month. So I go on 12 vacations a year normally. And the way I do that is they're like 4 or 5 day vacations. I usually teach or coach 1 or 2 of those. And the rest of that is all paid travel, paid hotels, paid everything, right? So
Wow.
that's been limited,
Yes.
because not only with Mindvalley, but also with the Hay House events, those have all been canceled. My own private coaching has had to move to Zoom, those type of things. So
Wow.
if I felt it at all, it's been around the travel piece, not really
Okay.
in the connection piece because that's continued. It's moved online, like our conversation here.
Yes.
Um,
Yes. But
so
still,
that's been, it's been a transition, and it's good for me to see it because that's what a lot of my businesses are going through that I consult. So a lot of those folks are trying to see how to pivot from live events, and even with their own leadership teams. They're all at home. They're not. They're no longer in the building where you can, CEOs can keep their thumb on them. Now they're having trust issues, and you know what I mean. They're having communication
absolutely.
issues and those type of things that we can work on. So, but I'd say that's really the biggest thing. Um, Really
Has
hasn't been a problem. In fact, I've grown my business a lot over the last year and a half. So
That's what I was going to ask you. The next question was, has anything new cultivated, transpired from this whole thing? Something unique, something new, but yeah, you're saying it is actually expanding. So that's good.
yeah, and nothing really unique, like nothing like mind blowing. It's not like I had a super giant idea that I didn't have before. Like I said, I've got all these things already going, all these streams of things that I love to do. Um, so I've really had more time just to work on those things. Um, like I said, the one thing I've had to do is figure out some downtime activities, where I love to travel and spend time in exotic locations. And you kind of have to make that for yourself, you know what I mean, at this time. So
Exactly. Yeah, that
luckily here in
sounds.
North America, we're coming into spring, so I'm looking forward to that. Looks like travel restrictions are going to be listed or lifted at least for the fourth quarter, if not the third quarter. So I'm
Yes.
planning live events as early as August already.
Wow.
So
Amazing.
yeah, I'm about to get back into it, but yeah, as far as income streams, those, I mean, everything, um, the coaching business wise has definitely been booming. I mean, everyone's looking for some peace of
Yes.
mind and some help.
Some
Like I
direction.
said, with
Yes.
the communication things and the dealing with leadership and vision, and what the new normal is going to look like, and all those things. So we've been doing a lot. But like I said, I'm in a great position to only say yes to what I want to. There's no more
Wow,
time
that's
for
amazing.
dollars. I don't have any of those type of contracts. I don't even do hourly rates. Like
Yes.
literally, it's like by transformation. Like you hire me. This is what do you want? Yeah, I can help you get that. You know what I mean?
And this
What do
is,
you think
yeah.
that's worth? You know what I mean? Like our
Right.
conversations are so different than $10 an hour and worrying about surviving. That
Yes.
this is how you thrive. You divorce time from dollars.
Wow.
So,
That's absolutely right. And that's what I was going to ask. See, you just said something right there, man. Divorce time from dollars. Wow. Just the way you put that. That's what my next question is going to be. Can you give me just, I mean, I know you're a thinker, but
yeah.
can you, if you can, sum up just a bit of your philosophy of life? Like, if I was to just say, hey, can you just give me a summary of your perspective on, I'm asking you, hey, Tony, I'm lost. Can you give me just a philosophy of life that I could go by just to start? What would it be?
Right. That's a really interesting question. So, and I'll give you the real deal. But now, when I deal with corporations, sometimes I don't go as deep as I could.
Yes,
Knowing
absolutely.
who you are and who your audience probably is as well, if they follow you, I'll go all the way. But and you'll see why. Because if I go all the way down to the distill of it all, what keeps me positive and allows me to spill over is I know that I'm God.
Wow.
As Dr. Dyer said,
Dr. Dyer, Neville Goddard.
Neville God, you are God. So
Yeah.
inside of you, you are God, not just the universe. You know what I mean? Some people like to switch over, and say the universe to keep it from being a strictly Christian principle or something like that. But they're saying the
Absolutely.
same thing. You see
Yes.
what I'm saying? So, and that's the one qualm I might have with a lot of law of attraction type of teachings.
Absolutely.
Really, it's Christianity, and they've just taken the word God out of it and put in
Put it over
universe.
here. Yeah.
You put it
Separated it.
over there, be like, we
Yeah.
don't talk
In the
about that
sky,
because there's a lot of confusion. Yeah,
away
now
from
it's up
you.
in the sky.
Yeah. Away
So
from
what Neville Goddard, through Dr. Dyer, once again, always giving props, but what Neville Goddard taught and influenced so many people, when you get into it, but he taught that you're God, right?
absolutely.
And Neville Goddard, a lot of people don't know about Neville Goddard, but I would suggest you get into him. I know. Neville
Absolutely. I
Goddard
listen
was
to him.
actually taught by a Black Ethiopian
Yes.
named Abdullah.
Abdullah. Yes. I read a bit
Yes,
about Abdullah as well.
Abdullah was awesome, and what he taught was from Kemet. So he was teaching ancient African, right? Which is another thing that states like to do is separate Egypt and Africa because somehow Egyptian doesn't sound black, right? They don't want to
Yes.
give any kind of
And it
credit to
sounds
that. But
more fabulous because of the
more
imagery
fabulous,
attached to
right, more
Egypt,
exotic. It's an
the
Egyptian,
gold and
yeah,
the pyramids, and oh, that's not Africa.
yeah.
Yeah, you're man, Tony, you're on it, man. You got it. Go ahead,
So
sir.
so I would totally, if I could say anything, like literally, that's influenced me so much. But what really built it up is what we talked about. My philosophy of being the seeker throughout the years and studying philosophy and world religions. It brought all of that stuff together when Dr. Dyer reintroduced me to Neville Goddard,
Yes,
um, because I already knew all that stuff. You know,
absolutely.
when I first came out as a hip hop artist, I came out under Public Enemy. Chuck D's the one that gave me my name when we were on
Wow,
tour, right?
love Chuck D.
So I used to go under the name of Taboo because I was the only white kid there, and I was the only, I was the only one. I was there with leaders of the new school, Chuck D,
Oh man,
um,
talking my language
KRS-One,
now.
yeah, a bunch of old school hip hop people,
Oh yeah, that's what
like
Busta
I said, I've
Rhymes,
been,
leader of the new school. I know.
yeah, Busta Rhymes, right? And so Busta came out of that, right?
Yeah,
Um, but I say that just to say this. So I mean, I've always been into that, and I've always known that. I used to wear
wow,
an ankh.
that's
You know
amazing.
what I mean? Because I resonated with that so greatly, and all that comes from Kemet, and it
Yes,
talks about you are God. So if you look at like Muslim and like Black Muslims, they talk about the gods and the earths, right?
yes,
All of that comes from Kemet also. It's all distillation of the same thing. So just to get back to your actual question, my philosophy, I'm God, right? I'm an individuation of God having a
absolutely,
life experience, right?
absolutely.
People
Wow,
like to dumb that down and say I'm life having the experience of itself.
wow.
I'm bigger than life, right?
Yes,
I look at it more of like a theme park. Like I came to the earth to have this fun adventure.
this experience.
You've seen
Yes,
my stuff. I talk about
in
adventure,
these
and in my
vehicles.
coaching, I say that 97% of the people in the world are suffering from ADD, adventure deficit disorder.
Wow.
They just don't go out and have fun. They forgot how to have fun in life,
Yes, too
right?
busy
So
worried about.
that's my
Yeah,
main thing. And so I use imagination and creativity and all that, but underlying is what Neville calls the first principle, that you are God, and all you have to do is remember And if you're into Asian cultures and all that, Lao Tzu said the same thing. You know,
Yeah.
yogis say the same thing. You
Yes.
are you are the underlying thing that isn't a thing, right?
Wow.
You're perceiving everything and you're watching everything go by. Even states of consciousness, even thoughts, all that stuff is not you. You're something else, right?
Wow.
You're
That's
God.
yes,
You're that piece of divinity. So
that's amazing, because that's what I've been my consciousness have been evolving to understand that more and more over this past year. And as
yeah,
far as not attaching myself to these these volatile thoughts and feelings, that's not me. Those are just experiences that I'm having, and then I'm allowing them to flow through me easier. And it's
yeah.
just amazing. And yes,
It is amazing.
yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to mention that mystics throughout time have always said this.
Yes,
So where you can find this anywhere, and you know this because you're big on quotes and on pulling things like that together. But mystics and poets throughout time have the biggest philosophy of this same exact philosophy, you know, about how
absolutely.
we're actors. We're here, we're putting on suits and doing that. And as long as if you look at life like that, what could really bother you?
Absolutely.
You see what I'm saying?
Wow.
If you know that the entire thing is a play, now what people like to do is say this part of me is a play, right?
Yes.
So they want to say I'm not really a business coach. This is just the act I'm putting on. I'm something else, but that's still egoic, right? They still want to
Absolutely.
identify with something here.
Attachment.
I'm really Tony, and I can create what I want. No, you're really God, and you created Tony to experience what you want. You see what
Wow.
I'm saying? You're God. You created loot so that you could go out and do these things. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And that is ever evolving based on your desires and where one thing leads. You know what I mean? You're always evolving. You're always moving forward
Basically,
based on your own perception and your experiences. You know?
basically, we have more power than, I'm saying, than we think, than a lot of us think we have. We just have to learn how to get out of our own way and tap into that and know. But like you
Yeah.
said, just knowing that, instead of shying away from, no, well, I want to humble myself and put this entity over here so that no, you have to know who you are,
Yeah.
and be as such. Tony,
You know what's
amazing.
interesting?
Oh, go ahead.
I love the spiritual community is funny because they use words but they have no understanding of the underlying meaning, or they don't really, you know what I mean? Like that's what I find a lot. Like people they throw around the term consciousness all the time,
Right.
but they fail to realize, or in practice they don't practice. Consciousness means awareness. What are you
Absolutely.
conscious of,
Wow.
right?
Yes.
Consciousness is awareness. And Neville Goddard talks about consciousness is the only reality. There is no
Yes.
reality on this earth except for what you're conscious of. And it's completely true. You can test it
Yes.
all you want. Because if you're not
Yes.
aware of it, it doesn't exist, period.
Wow. That's what makes
It
it
really
so.
doesn't. You think it does, but it doesn't.
Your
It doesn't
awareness makes
exist
it
until
so.
you're aware of
Yes.
it, you know? And the funny thing is now science is like catching up to philosophy, right? So if you look at quantum physics, they're proving all this.
Yeah.
You know,
Scientifically, it's
the
proven.
quantum
Yes.
particles that they're testing, they don't exist until you look at them. When you have
Wow.
awareness of it, it appears.
So basically,
It's actually in multiple places at the same time until you view it, and then when you see it, it's there.
yes,
It fails to be now. Now it's only here.
it's
The
actually being
energy
affected.
is in multiple places, and they've done so many tests on this. You know,
It's actually being affected by the observer. Yes. And
not only affected but created by it. The
created by the
observation,
observer.
the awareness itself makes it the reality.
So
Until then, it remains energy.
if you want to observe yourself as being uh, wealthy in all areas of your life, that's what you're going to create. If you really feel and believe and see that, that's
Right.
exactly what you're going to see. And that's
Yep.
exactly what you're doing and have done. That's awesome. I appreciate you coming on here today. And I know we can even get deeper, but I don't want to short circuit the system by what you're starting to get into, man. Because, man, that's deep. I I get it. I'm getting it because I'm reading, and I'm studying along those lines. Neville Goddard, Joseph Murphy, even Reverend Ike speaks along those lines too. That come from that teaching
Absolutely.
of Abdullah, and mentioned him. So amazing,
Yep.
amazing. Yeah. Is there any last concluding, words? Do you have anything that we should look out for that's coming up, or anything you want to
Yeah.
close off before we conclude this
Yeah.
segment?
Yeah. I got lots of stuff coming up, but really, here's what I'd like to leave you with. I know it got pretty deep there, and
Oh
only
no,
because
that's
I
amazing.
know who you are.
Ooh,
But here's my whole work is this: making it practical in the real life world. And that's why I'm not a spiritual teacher, right? Like, I'm not a law of attraction coach. People don't pay me to interpret scripture for them.
absolutely.
What I do is use that underlying law of assumption, right? What you assume yourself to be, you are, right? That's the law of assumption. I use that in practical terms to influence leaders who influence millions.
Wow, that's
So that's
amazing.
how you've got to bring it down to a practical term, because everybody's not going to evolve their consciousness to realize that, it's funny. Let me just leave you with this. Okay. This is one of my core concepts that I teach really evolved leaders, right? It's called war game dance. Okay. There's only really three perspectives you can look at your life: as a war, like you're constantly going out and battling things; as a game; or as a dance. Okay. The problem with looking at things as a war is always chaos. There's no war that's not chaos. And we go through this spiritual progression, right? I was with Public Enemy. I was with Black Lives Matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been there and battling for this and that, right? Fighting against things. And when you're in a certain consciousness, that feels right. Okay. But
Absolutely.
at the end, that's not peace. You're
No,
not going to get peace by causing war, right?
or going against things,
That's all right.
as to
Anytime
being
you're battling
for
something, it's
something.
war.
Yes,
You're forcing, right? You're forcing things. The next level up is to view everything as a game, right? So that takes a lot of the battle part out of it, because at the end of the day, it was only a game, but it still keeps in competition. It keeps hatred, it keeps hatred in there, going against things. Now people can use that as a motivation, which is fine. Some people do that, but at the end of the day, it's not really a game either, because a game has winners and losers. A
absolutely.
game doesn't assume that we're all equal gods having an experience. What life really is, when you get fully conscious, life is a dance,
Wow.
right? War game dance. Life is not about where you end up, how many millions you make, how many anything, right? It's not about beating someone to a certain spot or a certain level. It's about enjoying every single moment for the sake of that moment. It's about that experience. It's about that adventure, right? It's a dance.
It's a
So if
being
if I
present.
can leave you with anything of my core principles, it's war, game, dance. That's the levels. I definitely try to get people out of war and at least into game. Like some people that a lot of law of attraction is game, which is great,
Exactly.
because you know what I mean. Because every level is important to work up, but When you can get to the dance and you realize, you know what I mean, nothing is important. It's really not important. You know what I mean? It's fun.
Just thinking makes it so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fun. You
Yes.
know.
Your perspectives make
So
something give importance to things and lack thereof. It's your mind, and you got to get to that. If you got to get past that no, this is important. This is tragic because this is what you're thinking.
right.
But there's always
So
something to
so
learn from something as well
always, you know, so
to
so
help
that's what I would say.
project you.
Make it practical for you. Bring it, you know what I'm saying? Evolve past, you know, trying to always war with things because there's always casualties in war. You know what I mean? Like it's always going to be chaos. You'll never find peace in war. There isn't such a thing. There's momentary peace when the shells
Absolutely.
aren't right now, you're not hunkered down. You know what I mean? So even whether you're taking war to someone or it's coming at you and you feel like life is battling you all the time, that's war. That's that
That's war.
mentality.
And that's not
At
where you
least
want to
get to
stay.
game. Yeah,
Wow.
you don't want to stay there. Get to game. Realize it's fun. Um, it, you know, at least make it that competition that where you can use that as a motivator to get to a next level. And then when you can realize there's really no level. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's really an experience. It's about having fun. Like I said, you're an individuation of God experiencing life, right? You're
Wow.
growing through the experience. You know, you're making memories, and memories are what we use to turn into wisdom, right? Knowledge
Exactly.
knowledge plus experience is what wisdom is,
Yes.
right? Knowledge
Exactly.
plus experience. So you can learn all the book knowledge you want. And the same thing with what I'm saying right here. You know, you can hear me talking, but until you make it practical for you in your life, you know what I mean? You're still going to be at war. So
Yeah,
I would just challenge
knowing is
people to
not
do that.
enough. Doing is where the power is.
Doing.
Bruce Lee said
That's what I
that,
would
something
say.
like that.
Yep, absolutely. So that's what I would leave everybody with. I have a lot of stuff coming up. I'm doing a series uh, on YouTube called the Neville series, and I'm teaching basically the same stuff we just talked about. How to use this. It's called Creative Conscious Leadership. So people can follow me on Facebook and find that, or on my website, which is tonydoyleinspires.com.
Yes, that's
Lots
what
of
I was
that
going to
stuff. Like I
ask
said,
you next, since you just said that. Can you give us a few or one or whatever ways to find you, follow you, yeah, find you, basically.
yeah, the easiest way is through my website, which is tonydoyleinspires, all one word.com. Um,
Okay.
or you can just Google me, Google Tony Doyle, and you'll find all my other links and things that are going on. But so yeah, but the Neville series that I'm working on,
That sounds amazing,
that comes out next month,
by the way.
and see, I'm working on another book. I'm working on a book with the actual Australian guy named Mr. 2020.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's actually pretty well known internationally, but we're doing a book never, or it's a conversation never had. We're literally recording 5-minute segments and sending them back and forth to each other and responding. So
Wow.
it's not really an interview. It's more like what we're doing here, like a sit down. But we're on like the 25th installment back and forth of this conversation that never happened. But he's
And
also
out of that
big
a
into
book
consciousness.
is being cultivated.
Yeah. So
Wow,
on
that
top of
sounds
I've got 3 other books. One with Trent Sheldon on relationships. I've got a lot of
yeah,
stuff
I like
coming up. But like I said, you
Trent
can Google
Sheldon.
that and
Yeah,
find all that. Yeah.
amazing guy. Amazing guy. Wow, Tony, amazing talking to you today, man. And I appreciate you taking time out of your pressing schedule to do this with me. And like I said before in the beginning, is it helps me rest better to know that I have someone like you that I can reach out to uh, whenever I need, and just absorb
Absolutely.
some of your perspectives and share insights and just cultivate and exchange some of this thought current, and just, I love listening to you, man, to put it quite
I think we're
frankly.
kindred spirits.
Yes, sir.
We're kindred spirits, Lute.
Thank you, sir.
We've
I
always
appreciate it.
we're both the seekers, and we like to bring that. And we've got the hip hop influences. So
Absolutely, man. We have a lot of connection, man. A lot of, just natural, just connection. It's easy for us to have a conversation with each other. It's not that we have to search for something to talk about. We have a lot of common goals, common intentions, common background, just everything, man. And I just appreciate it so much, man. I appreciate it. And
I
hopefully one day
appreciate
we
you,
get to
man.
see
It's
each
been
other
fun.
face to face, man, and embrace each other and talk, man, and just, sit down and enjoy a meal or something like that, man. I
It's
can
coming
see it.
soon.
I can see
Yeah,
it
it's
happen.
coming soon. That
Yeah.
I'll be in LA at least the fourth quarter. So
Okay. You got to reach out
by
to me, man. We
October for
got to
sure.
get together. Well, thank you so much for coming on Enlightened, Empowered, Evolved. And I appreciate you so much, man.
Thank you,
Peace and
Lou.
love.
Appreciate you.
Yeah. Peace and love to everyone that's watching, and see you soon.